Hello YouTubers, and welcome to another edition of Campaign Recap. See, now that's improvement. This past week's main event was Thursday's Democratic debate on PBS. The event, hosted at Howard University in DC, saw much pandering to the black voter, which seemed potentially credible for about 24 hours before all but two candidates and one slightly crazy guy returned to tending to their base of big corporate donations. Hillary Clinton, still leading widely in the polls, used her standing as a female to try to connect with poorer, more disadvantaged voters, but that may not be enough for someone who thinks the alternative minimum tax is a major issue for the middle class, and that it's a shame that poor people can only afford condominiums. On the positive side, her accent was nowhere to be seen, although rumor from behind the scenes say that her campaign only narrowly avoided political disaster, as aides argued over whether switching out her white mask for a black one would make her more accessible to the audience. Also awkwardly relating to the different demographic was John Pretty Boy Edwards, who, despite centering his campaign around issues of poverty and inequality, can't scrub the stank of pompous, rich, white money-leeching, healthcare cost-jacking lawyer shark from his image with a gas-powered wire brush. Despite his strong message on poverty, subsequent polls saw that audience members felt they couldn't remember what he had actually said, and yet had vague but recurring thoughts of Richie Rich and diamond-encrusted hair combs. Senator Barack Obama may have fared slightly better than Edwards or Clinton and worked to further his message of inclusion and positive progress. At first we weren't sure if this message was hitting home, as there seemed to be a distinctly heavy sense of bitter resistance in the audience. But once we located the source, we promptly wrote it off as ludicrous, like almost everyone else in the country. The debate itself was surprisingly fair, giving equal time and letting each candidate answer each question, even that half-crazy guy from Alaska. This stood in stark contrast to the news hacks from the mainstream, and was disconcerting to those paying attention, including Rupert Murdoch, who then went hard to work trying to figure out how to buy out something that wasn't for sale. He promised to come up with a solution, at least after he finished inking his three-way deal with Satan and Hillary. The week's undercard event was Coultergeist vs. Elizabeth Edwards, brought to you by Glow Wrestling. No, wait. Sorry, it was on Hardball. Understandable mix-up, really. And the man, Coulter, sparred with John Edwards' other half over Coulter's continued cheap shots at candidates, or anyone in general, questioning both her value to politics and her Adam's apple. Coulter responded with several almost logical-sounding arguments, and even won over a few supporters before she dropped the bar once more on the level of discourse by claiming that Edwards' cancer was due to her husband being a queer. Despite having a slam dunk against the Queen of Wood-Wilting, both Edwards suffered a few lumps as well, since they apparently felt the need to tilt the tables by showing Coulter's comments massively out of context on their own YouTube channel. While many people swallowed the bait, others spat it out for the dose of spoon-fed crap that it was, and in the process created a reactionary force rarely seen in modern days. That is, sympathy for Ann Coulter. Also happening right here on YouTube was this week's spotlight on Senator Chris Dodd. Dodd brought into question our focus and raised a call for help for his amendment. He also won points for not editing the comments on his video like some other recently featured Democratic candidates, but then quickly lost those points due to his inability to understand the inverse intelligence factor, and by asking people to actually do something. Bad move, buddy. The rest of the YouTube political scene was dominated by one Congressman Ron Paul, whose nearly face-painted fanatic followers boost his videos consistently into the top viewed. This week, Paul continued his radical march on Washington by doing something rarely seen in recent history, namely using clarity, logic, and patience to avoid a smear job attempt on Fox News. He also vowed to continue applying logic and thought to his positions, vexing many in politics, but also proving that he has a similar, more pronounced version of Dodd's weakness, and we suggest he go study the inversion graph from his Politics 101 book. As for our personal stance on Congressman Paul, we feel that... Oh, no, wait, sorry. We're out of time again. And that's it for this edition of the Campaign Recap. See you next time. This is the Sock, saying good night.